The dust of the Oxus riverbank tastes of copper and old bone. It hangs in the air, a choking yellow fog that hides the sun, turning the world into a twilight of suffocating heat. In the center of the silence, a man stands over a boy. Rostam, the shield of Iran, his chest heaving like a bellows, grips the hilt of his dagger. Beneath him, pinned in the grey sand, lies the young champion of Turan, his spine shattered. There is no triumph here, only the heavy gravity of a kill that feels wrong. Rostam's hand trembles, not from fear, but from a dark, ancient instinct, screaming that the steel in his hand is about to cut the thread of his own soul. Does he strike to save his king, or does he pause and listen to the whisper of blood that binds the slayer to the slain? Long before this dust rose, the seeds of this ruin were sown. Rostam was not merely a warrior. He was the wall against which the waves of Turan had broken for generations. But armor cannot protect a man from his own past. Decades ago, in the border city of Samangan, he had left a piece of his heart and a token of his lineage in the keeping of the Princess Tamina. He returned to Iran, assuming that if a son had been born, the world would have told him. He was wrong. The world does not tell secrets, it keeps them, letting them rot until they are ready to explode. Sohrab did not march on Iran to burn it, he marched to save it. He was a boy of 10 who fought like a man of 40, a hybrid of Iranian strength and Turanian fire. He grew up with a void where a father should be, a hunger that no victory in the wrestling circles of Turan could satisfy. His plan was beautiful and naive. He would grab the foolish King Kavus by the collar, toss him from the peacock throne, and place his father, Rostam, upon it. Then he would unite the world under the banner of father and son. He did not know that in the game of kings, idealism is a death sentence. He did not see the strings attached to his limbs, pulled by Afrasiab, who sent him to war with a secret order: destroy Rostam, or be destroyed by him. The march was a spectacle of iron and youth. Sohrab rode at the head of 50,000 spears, his heart light, scanning the horizon for the one face he had never seen. But the shadows were already moving. Afrasiab had sent watchers with instructions. Never let the son know the father. To ensure this blindness, fate added its own cruel twist. On the march, Sohrab's army was guided by Zinde Razam, Sohrab's uncle, the only man who knew Rostam by sight. The night before the armies met, Rostam crept into the Turanian camp, a shadow among shadows. In the dark, he encountered a man patrolling the perimeter. A brief struggle, a single crushing blow, and the man fell dead. Rostam slipped away, unaware that he had just killed Zinde Razam. He had extinguished the only pair of eyes that could have saved him. Now, as the sun rose, Sohrab stood alone on a hill, staring at the Iranian camp. He called for a prisoner, the Iranian Castellan Hojia, and pointed to a tent of green silk with a dragon banner. "Tell me," Sohrab asked, his heart racing, "whose tent is that?" Hojia, loyal to his king and fearing that this young demon would hunt Rostam down, lied. "That is a mercenary from China," he said. "Rostam is not here." Sohrab's shoulders slumped. The light died in his eyes. He had come to embrace a father, but found only an empty battlefield. He donned his helmet not with hope, but with the cold fury of abandonment. They met in the no-man's land between the armies. Sohrab, sensing something familiar in the mountain of a man before him, the breadth of the shoulders, the way he sat his horse, broke the protocol of war. He lowered his lance. "I ask you by the sun and moon," Sohrab shouted, his voice cracking. "Are you not Rostam? Are you not the son of Zal?" Rostam, his face hidden behind a mask of iron and pride, sneered. He would not give this upstart the satisfaction of knowing he fought the legend. "I am not Rostam," he lied, his voice like grinding stones. "I am a slave, a common soldier. Rostam is a kingmaker. He does not dirty his boots in the dust with boys." The denial struck Sohrab like a whip. If this man was not his father, then he was just another obstacle. The affection in his heart turned to ash. He raised his mace, and the air between them shattered. For 2 days, they tore the earth apart. Spears splintered into kindling. Swords sparked and snapped. Their horses, the mighty Raksh and Sohrab's own steed, bit and kicked, mirroring the fury of their masters. On the first day, the sun set on a stalemate. On the second day, they dismounted to wrestle, the ancient test of Iranian strength. Sweat turned the dust to mud on their skin. Sohrab, fueling his muscles with the rage of the rejected, caught Rostam in a hold he could not break. With a roar that shook the banners, the boy lifted the giant and slammed him to the earth. Sohrab knelt on Rostam's chest, drawing his dagger. Rostam, staring at death, used the only weapon he had left: deceit. "Hold! In Iran, we have a custom. A warrior does not kill the first time he throws his opponent. Honor demands a second fall before the blood is spilled." It was a lie, a fabrication born of desperation. But Sohrab, raised on stories of Iranian chivalry, believed it. He sheathed his dagger. He stood up, extended a hand, and let the lion rise. He walked away, leaving Rostam alive to nurse his bruised pride and plot his revenge. The third day dawned pale and sickly. Rostam had spent the night praying for the strength he had possessed in his youth. He entered the circle not as a man, but as a vessel of divine violence. Sohrab entered distracted, his heart heavy. They grappled. This time, Rostam's hands were like vices of iron. He caught the boy off balance. He heaved, his muscles screaming, and threw Sohrab down with such force that the sound of cracking bone echoed across the river. Before the dust could settle, Rostam drew his blade and ripped open Sohrab's side. The boy did not scream. He just let out a long, shuddering sigh, as if he were finally resting. "You have killed me," Sohrab whispered, his voice bubbling with blood. "But it was not your skill. It was my fate. I came here to find my father, and now I die, and I never saw his face." Rostam froze. "Who is your father?" he demanded, the dread rising in his throat like bile. "My father is Rostam," the boy said, closing his eyes. "And when he hears of this, he will burn the world to find you. Even if you become a fish in the sea or night in the darkness, he will find you and avenge me." The sword fell from Rostam's hand. The world tilted on its axis. "Show me," Rostam croaked, falling to his knees beside the dying boy. "Show me the token." Sohrab, with trembling fingers, undid the armor on his arm. There, bound to the pale skin, was the onyx amulet, the seal of the House of Sam, the token Rostam had given to Tahmineh under the stars of Samangan. The silence that followed was louder than the battle. It rolled out from the center of the ring, silencing the drums, the horses, and the wind itself. Rostam tore the clothes from his body. He scooped up the bloody dust and poured it over his white hair. His wails were not human. They were the sounds of a wounded animal, a creature realizing it has eaten its own young. The sun began to dip below the horizon, indifferent, casting long shadows that stretched from the broken body of the son to the broken spirit of the father. Rostam begged. For the first time in his life, the man who had commanded kings begged. He sent a runner to Kavus, demanding the Noshdaru, the mythical panacea that could heal any wound. But Kavus felt a cold flicker of relief. He feared the son. He feared the father. Dead, the son was safe. He refused. "Let him die," the king whispered. By the time Rostam realized the betrayal, the boy was cold. The cost of his victory was absolute. He had preserved the borders of Iran, but he had severed his own future. It was not the sword of Turan that killed Sohrab. It was the silence of fathers. It was the lies of kings. Rostam learned, as the stars wheeled overhead, that strength without truth is just brutality. He had conquered demons and dragons, but he could not conquer the wall of silence he had built around his own heart. He remained there as the night took the battlefield, a monument to the ruin that comes when duty devours love. History remembers Rostam as the shield of Persia, but the wind along the Oxus tells of a man who won the world but lost his soul, learning too late that the hardest battle is not to kill the enemy, but to know him. Yet the wheel of fate has not finished turning. From these ashes, a new trial will rise. Walk with us through the old stories. Subscribe to Saga Weaver, where ancient warriors face impossible choices.